Hey, Latanya, thank you so much for being a part of this summit. Realign your thoughts for women who want to exude confidence in every area of their life. It's such a pleasure to have you here. So to kick us off, why don't you introduce yourself? So tell us who you are, what you do, and why you decided to be a part of this summit.
Ooh, well, thank you so much for having me. I'm like super honored to get the message and to meet you. So I really appreciate you for putting this on to get the message out to people. So hello, everyone. My name is Latanya Rawles, and I am a life coach. My focus is mostly self-care and self-love and empowerment. And I got started on this journey through heartbreak, depression, infidelity, almost divorce. And all of those things kind of had me in a really dark place for a while. And I just got to the point where I didn't want to be there anymore. And the way I started kind of crawling out of there was focusing on me and, getting to know myself again, what I like to do, how do certain things make me feel, and just really focusing on like my responsibility in my whole life and everything that's happened for me. And so through that journey, I realized that when I started to focus on me, when I changed, everything changed. And I just like, you know what, I'm not alone. I know people don't like to talk about these hard, dark moments that we go through, but a lot of us go through them. And I feel like that helped me find my voice to say, hey, me and my husband, we went through some rough stuff. And I can say today that situation was the best thing that could have ever happened to our marriage. And because I was really focused on being who I needed to be, it saved our whole life. So I just planted my flag and was like, let's go. So I coach, we do group coaching. I have a whole program where we do events every month. We go hiking, we go to gun ranges, we do crafting, we go to bed and breakfasts. We just do a lot of fun things that you maybe never done or haven't done in a while. And we just encourage and support and hold you accountable through that whole process.
Yeah, fun self-care. I love that. I
Yes.
love that.
Yes.
So my first question to get us started is, to you, what is self-confidence?
Ooh, self-confidence is knowing who you are, like authentically, and not being afraid to show up as her or him, no matter what the situation, and not to allow those outside forces to cause you to react or show up differently. Like you're going to be you no matter what. And I feel like when you really are firm in who you are and your beliefs, that self-confidence will push you through any situation.
Yes. And based on that definition, do you consider yourself a confident person?
Ooh, you know what? I can honestly say that now, yes. Before leadership, no. And I would be somebody who you would probably never think that, but I really struggled with that because I didn't really have a really good understanding of who I was and what I wanted. And so now I can say I do consider myself a confident person. And if I know what I know. So if I know what I know, I'm good. If it's about something I'm kind of like about, I'm confident that I can ask for support and figure it out.
Yeah, like you said, I'm confident that I know what I know. Yeah,
Yes.
and I know that means I know my limitations as
Yes.
well.
I know what I like, I know what I don't like, and I know
Yeah,
when to ask for support.
yeah. So what role does confidence play in your field of business, in self-care?
Everything. I feel like with my programs, I really dig into that a lot because once you establish a relationship with yourself, to get confident, you have to have consistency in showing up for yourself. If it's, you say you're going to get up at 5 o'clock and meditate or work out or eat right, and you do those things, that consistency builds self-confidence. So it is my life at this point. I understand that really feeling that confident in what I'm doing and how I'm helping people is important. Like people know. I feel like when I was showing up or faking it till you make it kind of thing, like people, if they're really paying attention, that doesn't work.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that because I felt the same thing. Yeah, you want to fake it till you make it, but on the inside, no, you just want to be it.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, and certain people can sense that when you're not feeling confident.
And leadership helped me with that a lot. Like my coach, like writing affirmations and repeating them. And then David Goggins, like I love that guy. In his book, he had said like, he has like this whole cookie jar of like, it's a metaphor, but basically he has this jar of things that he's done well. And he knows that when he's not feeling confident, he can go to that jar to pull the situation when he actually showed up and did something great to say, look, this is the proof that you are fill in the blank. And so I have my confidence cookie jar when I'm feeling like, Latanya, you can't. And I'm like, wait a minute, because I did this and I didn't die, you know, and everything was okay. And I nailed it. So I got this. And sometimes you need that pep talk for yourself.
True, true. So I've posed this question to someone else, so I'm asking you, is there such thing as health confidence, and how would you define it?
You know, I feel like, yes, there is. It's actually a very new term for me, but I feel like being optimistic or positive about every aspect of your life can take you a long way. And I'll give you this example. My husband's coworker was sick and he had cancer, and he didn't want them to tell him how bad it was. He just was like, you know what, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to do these things. And he actually was at stage 4. And he didn't have that information, and he is in remission now. And I feel like him just believing like, you know what, I know enough. I know what I need to know. And just having that faith and that confidence in like, everything's going to work out. He did, everything worked out fine. So when you believe something, whether it's about your health, your job, your employment, your relationships, if you truly believe it, you're going to seek out and find ways to validate that truth.
Wow, that's an awesome story.
It is. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. So the key is strong belief.
Strong belief and committed action. Committed action. And I feel like when you are unattached to results, if you believe that things are going to happen for you not a certain way, but just knowing that it's going to happen, it doesn't have to happen exactly the way you have it in your mind, but you believe that it's going to happen, and just be unattached to how it gets there and just stay in committed action. It's hard, and it's kind of like, but I tell you, ever since leadership, I just like, you know what, trust the process. And I'm like, okay, this is working. So I'm like, why should I question if it works?
Right. Trust the process. So what has helped you personally to exude confidence? And that's personally and professionally.
So for me, just doing the hard things, and not even hard things, but things I think I couldn't have done, or letting go of the story of what I can and can't do and what it's supposed to look like, but doing that thing anyway, and then coming out on the other side, just feeling as like I'm sitting up taller, and it's like a feeling that you have. And so personally, keeping promises to myself. If I say I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. and meditate, I get up at 5 a.m. and meditate. And now I'm looking back, I've been doing that for 6 months. And so I feel really good about that when I went back and I had those receipts whenever I'm like, I don't want to get up today. Professionally, putting myself out there, telling my story, and not being ashamed to say that, you know what, I went through a lot of crappy stuff and I'm still here, and it's okay. And those things don't define me, not to be locked in a box of shame or guilt, because a lot of us went through something. If you were here and you're at a certain point in your life, you got there with some bruises and bumps, and those are not things that you should be ashamed of. Those are badges of honor that you wear and you help someone else with. That's how I feel. So the confidence to go and tell those sad stories sometimes, you know, it's important in my business because it makes me relatable, and it helps me find the people that really need me also.
So for you, it's been pushing past resistance and having that self-integrity, and then just being open.
Yeah. And not really getting in my head about what people may think or say or feel about what I'm sharing, because this is my story and my journey. And it's okay if they don't agree, or if it doesn't look like theirs. It doesn't diminish it, or it doesn't make it inappropriate or shameful. And so knowing that truth is like, it's okay to say whatever you need to say, you know, and be yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So would you be open to sharing one of those moments when you didn't feel as confident and how you pushed through that?
Oh, yeah. So I also did a summit like you did, and I rescheduled that, and I pushed it back and I pushed it back for months. And I finally picked a date and decided, you know what, I'm going to do it, because I was in my head about, you're just getting started, you don't know. And so when I just decided to go ahead and honor the summit date, like I had got sick with COVID and I had like a month to put it together without moving my date. And I was like, that's okay. So when I started recording the interviews, like I didn't have any like questions. I just was like, we're going to hit record and we're just going to align. And every one of those interviews was, I learned something. I grew from those interviews. I got like the best feedback from my speakers. And I felt like, you know what, that just proved to me that even though I was terrified and afraid and in my head about the stories and limited beliefs, that for me to push through all of that, now I know I can do this. And I get to do another one. And look, this is how we met. So I can't stress enough for people to do something that makes you uncomfortable, probably, and even nauseous, is like as often as you can, because that's when you grow. And those stretches help you become who you're supposed to be for the people that need to hear your message and your story.
So what I hear is that confidence comes through fear and uncomfortableness.
Yes, and a track record that you've kept consistent promises to yourself about what you say you were going to do, and honoring that. Because you can only, when you break your word to yourself, you're chipping into your worthiness. You're paying for that out of some other bank in you, because you're the only one who knows that said you were going to get up and work out. And when you don't, what message are you sending to you? And when you sit down and answer that question, you're going to get up. You're going to get up. And when times get hard, you can pull back to that memory and say, I can do this. And I feel like that's important to have that from the inside and not need it from outside validation. Like you can be the one that you're motivating and pulling for, not your husband, your kids, your family. Those are great, but it should be for you first. And that was my first lesson when I said like the business I was starting, because I wanted to retire my husband. And a lady pulled me aside and she said, what about you? She's like, I think it's beautiful that you want to retire your husband. You don't want to have your boys to stress, but what about you? Don't you want to do it for yourself first? And I was just like, yeah, but I didn't say it and I wasn't thinking about it that way. So when she said that, I was like, everything I do is for me first. My family will reap the benefits. But if I don't value myself and what I'm saying I'm going to do, no one else is. No one else is. And so love yourself. Take time for yourself. You know, it's okay if you're the priority.
Yeah. And I love that you said that. It's okay if you're the priority, because sometimes we think that it's not. Mm-hmm. But it has to be. If we want to fill everybody else's cup, we have to make sure ours is full first.
Yeah, that's what Lisa Nichols, you fill your cup up and you serve from the overflow. And like with your son, when you're saying realign your thoughts to know that it's okay if the first thing you do in the morning, even if it's for 5 minutes, is for you. And even if that thing is, I'm going to get up 10 minutes early to make a cup of coffee and sit and drink it in silence. That's a you thing. That's a reset, realign thing. That's important. And just doing that consistently, you will start to, I'm gonna do this more. Where else can I find 5 minutes for me? You know?
Yeah. So how important is having a strong sense of self and self-worth when it comes to health confidence?
I think it's just kind of like what's the quote? If you don't stand for anything, you'll fall for anything. If you don't know who you are, what you believe in, your goals, your strengths, your beliefs, then you have no foundation to stand on. Like you won't, what's that, imposter syndrome? You'll just be following every shiny object because you don't really know. So when you have that strong sense of self and self-confidence, as it relates to your health confidence, like your health encompasses so many things, mentally, physically, spiritually, sexually, like there's so many things that you get to be aware of for your overall health. And if you don't make that a priority, then what is there? I mean, we got this one body, like we got to take care of it. So if you're not making, you know, everything about you a thing, then what are you doing? What is it all for? What is all the other things that you're doing when you're looking out for everyone else? What is that? How's that going to happen when you get sick? When everyone's dependent upon you to do these things, you know?
Yeah.
Your health is, ask a sick person. That's the only thing they want, is to be healthy. A lot of times we don't appreciate our health until we are sick. So, and that's like any kind of sickness, you know?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. that was powerful for me.
Okay.
So what do you do to realign your thoughts and regain your confidence when you begin to have some self-doubt and some negative thinking?
So I am an essential oil junkie. And I also meditate a lot. I meditate. I'm asking myself, like, if something comes up and I react and I'm like, why did I react that way? I journal. Journaling has been something I really just started incorporating into my overall self-care plan. And I can go back and look to see like how I was thinking, where my thoughts are, what was going on, and how I was responding. So I journal, I meditate, I call my coach, I call a friend, I dance, I find something to shift the energy and try to get out of it. Cause I feel like I don't want to stay in a negative thought process or feeling dowdy about myself any longer than I have to. And of course I go to my confidence cookie jar and I find something that I did that I didn't think I could do. It was like, okay, I'm good. I got this. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So you said awareness and reflection, and then a positive affirmation.
Yes.
So reaffirming that positive.
Reaffirming.
Yeah.
And sometimes I go and just remind myself of things that I did for that validation too.
Yeah. So for someone who is struggling with health confidence, what would be the 3 things you would suggest that they start with to make a shift?
Okay, so I guess it just kind of depending on if it's like mental health or physical, I would say, be mindful of your thoughts, first of all, because everything that you're thinking is creating your reality. So step back and see, how are you contributing to how your health is showing up? Like, what are you doing? I would say to make sure that you're aware of what you're putting in your body as far as food and moving your body. But I think the most important is your thoughts. So be able to sit with yourself in silence and listen and ask questions.
Yeah, a lot of people don't want to sit with the silence. Yeah.
It's like a trauma response. You can't sit still. And that's something I'm learning and unlearning and all that. So it's hard, and I get it. It's hard. However, on the other side of that, you gain confidence, because now oh, that's why I said that. That's why I did that. I don't have to do that now. I can just say, oh, okay, or say nothing.
Yeah.
I cannot
push through that resistance. Something great is on the other side.
Yes. And I think we both know it's not, working on yourself is like up there with parenting. It's the hardest job on the planet, but it's the most rewarding.
Indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, it has been a pleasure.
Yes.
Before we wrap up, any final thoughts, Latanya?
Ooh, I would just say to do something for yourself today and every day, and make it the first thing you do. Even if it's going outside and greeting the sun, as a friend told me, just do something for you, and realign your thoughts with your actions.
There you go. Thoughts. Realign your thoughts with your actions. Great closing statement. Thank you again so much.
Thank you.
I am in appreciation and gratitude of you sharing of yourself and your time. So
thank you.
It's been great.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.